What's going to happen in the future when we get these Republicans not only endorsing but financing these campaigns?
Well, then we'll have Texas.
Which is about as bad as you can get.
Which is about as bad as you can get.
Democratic Visions is handmade by volunteers for the entire metro region by DFL Senate District 42.
With the November 2 vote in and counted, the political pendulum, both in St. Paul and Washington, has shifted considerably to the right. Steve, I know you take a particular interest in judicial races. What transpired in this last election?
Well, there were 4 statewide judicial races, 2 in the Supreme Court, 2 in the Court of Appeals, and the incumbents won all 4 of them against challenges from people who are of what I call the axe-grinding variety.
Well, can we say marginal qualification, perhaps?
Yes, and of marginal qualifications, precisely. You know, these are not followed by a lot of people, and they really should be by more of us. There were 2 people running against 2 sitting associate justices in the Supreme Court, Alan Page and Helen Meyer. And both of them are, well, there was Greg Wurzel, the fellow who...
The lawyer turned plaintiff.
The lawyer turned plaintiff, exactly. And also a fellow named Tim Tinkelstadt.
Religious fellow, apparently.
A religious fellow who was running on it was a private mission from God, apparently. And they were both pretty soundly defeated. And I think they were both running with the Republican endorsement. The same thing happened in the Court of Appeals. There were 2 seats that were contested. Randolph Peterson's seat was contested by Roxanne Klugman, and Larry Stauber's was contested by Dan Griffith, and both of them were defeated. And I think this is a victory for an independent judiciary in Minnesota, and we ought to be very happy about it.
What's going to happen in the future when we get these Republicans not only endorsing but financing these campaigns?
Well, then we'll have Texas.
Which is about as bad as you can get.
Which is about as bad as you can get.
Now, we all know that Democrats do not endorse judicial candidates. Right. But I have to point out, and I point out to our audience, Chuck Prentice from Senate District 41 did an invaluable service by sending out a perspective on the judges that were running, detailing their background, including some of the things you just said, and allowing people to decide for themselves. But that's more information that you can pick up reading the newspaper. So to Chuck's credit, I think that got widely distributed and probably helped in those campaigns.
Right, I think that's true.
And the more information, the better, obviously. As long as judges are going to be elected, then certainly voters need to be educating themselves about the issues that they're facing and about the individuals who are running. I think the deeper issue is whether or not judges should be elected. I think if we're really looking for a truly independent judiciary, then I think there has to be a better way than subjecting them to the electoral process. I think it's begging for trouble down the road if we allow judicial elections to become the same kind of partisan circus that our legislative and city council and gubernatorial elections are.
Well, of course, you're aware that there's a bill introduced in the last session of the legislature just to do just that, take away campaigns and get into a judicial retention system where you'd have an appointment and then you'd have an opportunity to vote as to whether you wanted to replace that judge, and then if you replace the judge, another appointment
would be made.
Which exactly. I think is probably right along with what you've suggested.
I hope so. I hope so. It will be interesting to see if the Republican legislature decides to take that bill up again.
Well, fellas, thanks for stopping in and sharing your perspective. Joe, it's good to see you. Good writing. Keep at it. Steve, same to you.
Good to see you.
Thanks.
Here's a really good idea. If you want to meet the kind of leaders and thinkers you see on Democratic Visions, well, just attend a community forum near you. The forums discuss the issues of the day at local schools, libraries, and restaurants. You'll love the informal access to Minnesota's leading policymakers and a few critics. Topics, times, and places in suburban Hennepin County are listed at www.dfl3cd.org. Now that's dfl3cd.org. We'll be looking for you.
That's really important. Primary care providers, because nurses and a lot of other people.
Democratic Visions is handmade in Eden Prairie and Minnetonka by DFL Senate District 42. Norbert Gurnis, Chair. Democratic Visions can also be seen on our website, dflsd42.org.